皆様お待たせしました。続きましてはビットコイン L2 エコシステムと差別化戦略の現在地と題してお届けいたします。こちらは英語のセッションとなっておりますので、字幕に関してはこちらの QR コードをスマホでお読みください。The next session is titled Current Landscape of Bitcoin L2 Ecosystem and Differentiation Strategies。早速スピーカーの方々をご紹介しましょう。Our guest panelists are Gabe Hiroto Parker from Citrea, Kyle Ellicott from Stacks Asia Foundation, Justin Wang from Zeus Network, and Ron from Rootstock. The moderator is Joe Miyamoto. 皆様拍手でお迎えください。Please come to the stage.
Okay, so this is a session for, again, this is a session for a Bitcoin L2 ecosystem. And the speakers are all working on the L2 ecosystem, L2 projects of their own. And the main purpose is to explain and audience to understand the uniqueness and how does it change your people's life. So yeah. First of all, let's do some self-introduction. You don't mind? Maybe I should start. My name is Joe. I've been working in the Japanese crypto exchange for like 7 years now. And my main profession is Bitcoin itself, and I'm not really familiar with the L2 ecosystem except for the popular ones like Lightning. So maybe I will act like, maybe I will do some very basic questions, but I suppose that is good for every audience. So, yeah. Do you want to continue, Justin?
Hi guys, my name is Justin, founder of Zeus Networks. Unfortunately, we're not L2. We are like a layer extension to Solana. Basically, what we do is as an info layer, we ask Solana to generate a public Bitcoin address. And then Solana is the one that validate, prove, and mint, and then burn your token. So we can treat Zeus as like a layer extension to Solana or layer L1. Thank you.
Yep. So my name is Ron. I'm APEC ecosystem for Rootstock, Rootstock Labs, and Rootstock Labs is the main contributor for Rootstock. So just an explanation of what Rootstock is that we are the first Bitcoin side chain that is fully compatible with EVM. Yeah, and I think the focus point of our company is that Rootstock is actually sort of like focused on the security of Bitcoin. We use merge mining and also try to use the flexibility of EVM so that we can bring like EVM projects on board to Bitcoin. Yeah.
Everyone, my name is Gabe Parker. I do BD at Citrea. Citrea is the first ZK rollup on Bitcoin, secured by Bitcoin. And previously, I was at Galaxy doing Bitcoin research for 3 years. So still in Bitcoin, always Bitcoin.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle Ellicott. I'm a part of Stacks. For those that aren't aware of Stacks, we were one of the original Bitcoin layers with Lightning, Rootstock, and Liquid. We were the first to bring programmability and smart contracts to Bitcoin to empower the entire movement that we see here today about building on Bitcoin and applications powered by Bitcoin security and stability as well.
Okay, so where should I start? Kyle, you said that the programmability, your project is the first one to bring the programmability to the Bitcoin, right? But I suppose the Rootstock is also doing the similar thing, and it's quite old project, isn't it? How does your explanation of the programmability and such differs in both two?
Do you want to start first?
Yeah, I'm not sure our definition of programmability may differ, but just maybe the underlining technology as well. Ron had mentioned, EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine. For Stacks, we are native to Bitcoin, so we are built on top of the Bitcoin L1. We are not EVM compatible, and that's a choice that we made design-wise back in 2017. And then when we came to launch mainnet in 2021, we introduced a new language called Clarity, a language that actually pre-runs its contracts before they're executed, so something different than what we see in Solidity historically. And then also our design environment is paired one-to-one with Bitcoin. So every Stacks block is actually tied to a Bitcoin block, which creates Bitcoin finality and allows the inherent tie between Bitcoin security from the L1 to the L2, the secondary layer being stacks as well. So for us, we bring programmability by tying the two networks together, stacks and Bitcoin's L1 network.
I see. Ron, maybe you want to explain. Also, you want to explain the difference of your project.
So I think there are similarities and differences. So for us, as what Gabe mentioned, our focus is more on the EVM side, and everything is done on the Rootstock network. But we are also linked to Bitcoin via merge mining. That means that what merge mining is for example, when you do a transaction on Rootstock, you turn into a block header. This block header is merged within Bitcoin. So Bitcoin miners are actually mining. We are using their hash rate for our transaction as well. Yeah.
You mean the Bitcoin miners will be responsible for the sidechains execution?
So no, because we are using their hash rate. So essentially, when they are doing mining, they are also mining the Rootstock block header as well. So imagine like ZK. So how ZK does it is that the transaction is done, and then they will have the consensus on the layer one itself. So for us, our consensus is also on Bitcoin itself.
Okay, and the Gabe, would you also want to explain the difference of your projects compared to that?
Well, I mean, Citrea is EVM compatible, like Rootstock, but I guess in terms of our relationship to Bitcoin, so all rollups need a data availability layer. So for example, for Ethereum, right, Arbitrum and Optimism, they post their data to Ethereum L1. So by being a Bitcoin rollup, evidently you need to post your, it's called state transition data. So the difference in state on Citrea is posted to Bitcoin as an inscription in a block every hour, right? And the reason why that's important is because when Bitcoin know the state of Citrea, you can really go to any full node and ask them, all right, what's the most recent state of Citrea? So by that, you kind of inherit the security and decentralization of the L1 from that. So that's how we're mainly different as a rollup, is we're posting, and it's a large sum of data that's expensive, but expensive for good reason, because Bitcoin security is not cheap.
I didn't quite get that other projects, Rootstock and the stacks are, how do they use the Bitcoin as a data availability layer, or they don't? Because the merge mining thing is a bit different from from how that BitVM uses Bitcoin as the settlement layer, right?
So I think everything is settled on RSK, which is Rootstock, but it's only the final finality is done on Bitcoin. So this makes sure that the security is still there. So in terms of there are two forms of finality. One is the RSK one. When you do a transaction there, let's say you swap USDT0 to USDC, the transaction is executed on Rootstock, and then the finality is also done on Rootstock. But to make sure that it's much more secure, this finality is also done on Bitcoin via merge mining.
I see. Okay. So yeah, then Justin, your project doesn't. You said your project is not really directly related to the Bitcoin itself, right?
Yeah, we're not. So we enable validation for SVN to validate Bitcoin transactions.
Okay. Maybe you wanted to say something about the trust model of other projects that are using, and maybe you want to promote that your system is okay in terms of the trust model for maybe for Bitcoiners in Japan, because this is a Bitcoin booth and probably most of the listeners are Bitcoiners.
Yeah, I think the trustless model that we're providing right now is basically there are several ways to put in Bitcoin to Solana, right? So you have bridge, wormhole, Stargates, or all these bridge protocols or D-bridge that can bring EVM BTC to Solana. And that actually creates additional risk that what if the counterparty on the EVM side goes DPAC and stuff like that. So we use a much more novel ways where we enable Solana block, Solana virtual machine to generate Bitcoin address. So Zeus act as a layer extensions that we tell Solana that, hey, it is time to generate a public Bitcoin address, and the person send the native Bitcoin instead of wrapped Bitcoin. Solana verify, validate, on the Solana scan and mint any given version of Bitcoin. So what Zeus is doing here has nothing involved with the validation part, custodian part, where if we want to take your native BTC, we'll have to take your wrap version of BTC to burn it and then take it back as well. So what Zeus is doing here is that we enable Solana as a blockchain to become Bitcoin DEX, in the future Bitcoin Bank, powered by several different applications.
Okay, so in some sense that you're saying that your project Zeus is more reliable because it can reuse the Solana's ecosystem and more reliable Solana's infrastructure, right?
Yeah, and I mean also the fact that CBBTC is probably the biggest BTC on Solana by far. But you know, proof of reserve is cool, right? But you can't really build on top of CBBTC. I still think that next phase of Bitcoin economy will be tokenization on the Bitcoin part. So right now it's predominantly by institution, right? CBBTC, WBTC, all these top protocols. But what if retail wants to tokenize Bitcoin? I think that's where Zeus comes in, because we have this infra layer on Solana that you can tokenize into ABC BTC, KBTC, Japan BTC even, to really earn the fee on the Solana on-chain economy. So we are bootstrapping the long-term growth on this, and then we still think that Bitcoin application has to build one way or the other. So I mean, it's not one player takes all, right? If a player or a retail or institution that want to counter Solana, they would probably prefer Zeus solution at this point.
Okay, if I understand correctly, that right now your project is like a wrapped BTC on the Solana, which you can easily integrate with the Bitcoin system. And you said you also may create another wrap token as well in the same system. But I want some other speakers to argue against that.
Yeah, I just have a question. I'm curious. Don't you think like a BTC DeFi ecosystem should be on a chain that's actually like inheriting security from Bitcoin or as an extension of Bitcoin? Like, why should BTC DeFi be on Solana?
Well, great questions. First of all, I get a lot of questions on this. Well, 90% of our trading volumes, Bitcoin spot volumes, are still on exchanges. So, I mean, people are used to using centralized database to trade with Bitcoin, with leverage with Bitcoin. I mean, not until recently that Hyperliquid came out, as people started leveraging on top of it. So, if you compare eggs and then bananas, at this point, I think Solana's bananas, which is far more superior than a lot of centralized exchanges, which has access to 50 million users on a monthly basis, or 400 plus DeFi applications existing right now. So, you know, it's by choice. I don't think it's a must. So what I envision for the next couple years down the road, that there's gonna be like a buffet, right? Like if you hold one Bitcoin, you want access to Root stocks or you guys or Stacks. There has to be a better solution on that. So we're 100%, 1,000% focusing on Solana infra, especially for Bitcoin. That in the future you want to count on Bitcoin. I think Zeus will become the ultimate infra for that.
Oh, okay, so in short, it's like Solana is more accessible to the existing players like exchanges and such, right?
Well, interestingly, right now that Zeus just went on V2 2 weeks ago. So when it came out V1, you sending a Bitcoin, it takes about 54 minutes on the average time. Now it's down to 32. And V3, we're hopefully to launch by the breakpoint at the end of this year. So what if you sending a Bitcoin to Solana will take about 10 minutes, which is faster than you sending Bitcoin to Binance or Coinbase? I think the game is going to change, right? Because right now we have about 100 million liquidity for Bitcoin on Radiant, Workcards, all these DEX on Solana. You can easily sell your Bitcoin in spot without KYC, KYB.
Okay,
I'll just want to add one point. I mean, this is a Bitcoin panel, not a Solana panel, but I think I'll bring it home here for us for a second. Is, you know, one thing that Justin had mentioned, or two things actually. So CB BTC, Coinbase BTC, and then ZBTC, so Zeus as well. Right now, the two biggest networks outside of Ethereum that actually are driving users into this entire industry that exists, that we're here for today, that this conference exists for, is Solana and Base, because of Coinbase right now. So those two networks, you know, where and how Bitcoin evolves from there, and whether it goes multi-chain and we start to see Bitcoin move across chain, there's a lot of research and experimentation around that right now. The opportunity that Zeus and the team are building around Solana, the biggest chain to drive users into the ecosystem is a positive, helping them get comfortable with not just everything Solana offers, but then being able to do something with their Bitcoin, just like Coinbase has done via Base, bringing people from Coinbase on-chain through Base, and some of that will also include Bitcoin yields or applications or productivity in some capacity. So there's a place for all of us, whether it's native, whether it's ordinals and inscriptions, whether it's Ethereum or Solana. Each of our respected networks that we're building on help to bring more people into this industry, which is what matters, number one. Number two, the stability and security of each of our applications and protocols that we're building. And then number three, that you can actually do something with those assets as well. So.
Okay, yeah, well, probably it's a good time for audience, for us to explain to the audience that you said, well, I understand what you said is that it's a good for all of us that if there's a choice among the users for different wrapped BTC models, right? But the point is that what is the difference? I think Justin explained enough about the benefits of using Solana's wrapped BTC, but I suppose maybe it's a good time for you to explain the goodies of using your system. So maybe Gabe, do you want to start? And why user wants to prefer your system?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is the trust assumptions for the bridge to BTC. So for us, right, like our bridge, we are trying to move away from the federated model, 51% majority, which is what a lot of L2s use today. And this model hasn't really changed since like 2018, which is why we want to innovate it through a bridge called a BitVM that uses BitVM, specifically BitVM 2. The biggest difference there is that it's a trust minimized bridge, which means that every bridge is secured by 12 or 16 participants. In our case, you just need to trust that one of these entities is honest and then the money is safe. Now we can debate whether like a retail user really cares about that, but I think as builders, it's important to, even if they don't, it's our duty to provide like the most safe, trust minimized system for new users or even like institutions that might not really understand this whole trust model versus like BitVM versus federated model, which is why I think when you're using BTC on Citrea, you just need the trust one entity in the bridge is honest for your money to go back and forth, and eventually it will be a trustless model, but we need a couple opcodes in Bitcoin Core for that to happen.
Okay, so you mean, if I understand correctly, it's like it's similar to federated model in the sense that it's like a multi-sig that at least one entity should be honest and
yeah, and also one big part too with being a rollup and using ZK proofs is that you can actually challenge the bridge.
It's like a verifiable multi-sig.
It is, yeah. I'm not sure like with Liquid or other federated models, like how do you challenge the bridge participants? Like if you were censored on Citrea, for example, you can actually challenge the bridge operator, and it's actually pretty easy to prove that they committed fraud. So I think opening up a system where whether it's a set amount of entities or a fully permissionless challenge model is like I think that alone is pretty innovative. The ability to actually make the bridge participants accountable, right, for committing fraud or such things like that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty important point as a trust model, but I'm not sure how other projects differs from that because at least I know the basics of the rootstock. It's similar that if the verifier can run the rootstock node, that they can verify and show the fraud proof and such, right? So.
Yeah, so for rootstock, it's similar to what Gabe mentioned, that is trust minimized as well. It's not trustless, but with an additional security. So the way that we do it is PowerPack is there is the federations, a group of people that actually help with these the multi-sig, and also at the same time there is the need for this protocol level proof. You need a protocol from both rootstock as well as Bitcoin itself to prove before this whole PowerPack actually works. So for us, it's like federation, but with additional security. Yeah, and according to what Joel us, for us, is the verification is done on RSK, but it's only the final finality is actually done on Bitcoin itself. Yeah. So let's say the worst case scenario happened, the federation disappears, but your transaction is actually already on BTC. It's already the consensus is on BTC. So your Bitcoin will still be your Bitcoin.
Okay. What about the stacks, Kyle? Do you want to explain the trust model for the protocol itself?
Yeah, sure. So we have two different, very similar to what Ron mentioned. With Stacks right now, every transaction that happens on Stacks is settled and has true finality down to the Bitcoin L1. So sub-second transaction speeds on the L2 down to the L1. So Stacks down to Bitcoin. Did you have a question?
No, I just wondered this. I still don't get the difference of the projects, each project. So
Sure.
Right?
So
it's like a
maybe I can just explain this very super simple.
Yeah.
Between the four of us right now.
Uh-huh.
So you've got Zeus. Sorry, Justin. Sorry. You've got Zeus, who is based and built in Solana. They provide a protocol focused on the Solana ecosystem and the protocol itself, helping anyone within Solana to come on chain and do something with their Bitcoin. Very simple. With Rootstock, you have one of the original Bitcoin layers of the four, Lightning, Liquid, Rootstock, Stacks, which was the first to bring EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine compatibility, meaning tying Ethereum and Bitcoin together, the first. You have Citrea, and Gabe, forgive me if I describe this, but you have Citrea that's focused on proofs, that's focused on the security level of verifying transactions, very simply. And then you have Stacks that is native to Bitcoin. We are not EVM, we are not SVM, we are not Move, we are not a security, we are a protocol that is built and tied to the Bitcoin L1. So we each offer something different. And yet we also offer a few things the same. So Justin right now and Zeus have ZBTC, a tokenized or wrapped Bitcoin asset. It allows you to take your Bitcoin from Solana into the Zeus protocol or Apollo or some of the other applications and do something with it. Earn a yield, put it in an application. You have Ron with Rootstock, RBTC?
RBTC.
Thank you. RBTC that has been around for some time and has evolved and can do something very similar. It can go between Ethereum and Rootstock ecosystems, but still has that finality to Bitcoin, to Gabe's earlier question. You've got Citrea that's actually doing the verification of those transactions and making sure that everybody's honest and that everything is true. On the Stack side, we have SBTC, our tokenized, or in our case, a minted asset. It's a representation, not a secondary, it's not a wrap, it's just a mint showing that your Bitcoin on the L1 exists on the L2. And you can go do something in it, you can go earn off of it, you can go into the application layer, et cetera. And in our case, we have a decentralized signer network. We have over 15 institutional signers that if they don't exist and they aren't trusted, this industry doesn't exist and the industry is not trusted because they're big core names to this industry. And so each and every transaction that happens with SBTC, someone mints it, there's actually a signer network that verifies that that Bitcoin is actually a true Bitcoin that exists on the L1. So hopefully that gives a quick overview. But on the development side, you've got 4 ecosystems that you can build on, each with different security protocols, each with their own languages, each with their own applications, each with something different that offers for users and for builders, depending on what is more appropriate for them, whether it's institutional, whether it is a category like DeFi or AI, whether it's ecosystem specific, Solana or otherwise. There is something for everyone sitting on this stage right now to be building it.
Yeah, maybe is it a good time to go talk about like, all right, what's everyone's like focuses, go to market? I mean, you guys are already in market, but like, I think we might have different focuses as well. Like I know Stacks, you guys very focused on the institutions, very close with a lot of them. I mean, the signer set says it, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can just start here just to kind of piggyback
sure,
off
go
of
ahead.
Kyle, but like I think for Citrea, like we've had the advantage of sitting on the sidelines and watching the L2 space evolve for the past few years and seeing what what users want, what users like, and even on other ecosystems. You can actually learn a lot by looking at just simple Bitcoin-backed lending activity on Aave, right, or Morpho. So with that, I think our two biggest focuses are Bitcoin-backed lending and real new Bitcoin yield strategies through like vaults. This is an example of something that we're gonna start rolling out.
Bitcoin-backed lending?
Bitcoin-backed, yeah. You put BTC as collateral, borrow stables. I mean, it's the largest market, in my opinion, for like on-chain Bitcoin.
So
it's just all on ETH right now.
So you're not the only one. I suppose all other three members are also focused on the Bitcoin lending systems, right?
I think for Rootstock, that is something that we are looking at, exactly as what Gabe mentioned. I think institution has like a big focus for Rootstock. So it's our focus is also trying to get their liquidity as well as like their money into our ecosystem to make sure that they are able to unlock more with BTC, but also at the same time making sure that there are more utilities for users, be it institution or retail. So in terms of like BTC lending, BTC back, I think there are many moving parts to that. So first of all, you have to like focus on finding curators who are willing to actually do these sort of like products. And then you have to find the investors, people who are willing to put their BTC. And there are a lot of education needed to sort of like let them know why this is secure, and then why is it safe, and from where the yields are coming from. Because a lot of times when I focus on like yield or lending, they will often ask about two main things. Number one is this secure? And number two, where the hell did the money come from? How come you can generate 4 or 5% indefinitely from thin air? So I think that is the main focus of how we're trying to educate them.
Yeah, to be honest, that seems like a pretty independent from the technical issues, isn't it? Because from the user's perspective, they just want to deposit their BTC and get the interest for it. So isn't it hard for you to convince users that in a technical sense that your project is better? And it seems like a technical part is not the main competitive point to me. So do you want to speak back? I mean, do you have any other opinion?
Well, for our approach, we came into realization, when you started building on Zeus 2 years ago, we thought that we can capture all these Bitcoin OG liquidities or miners, institution, but we also realized that the biggest user policy is actually on Solana. So 99% of our liquidities actually come from Solana user itself. It's same as you. We've been educating a lot of users that you don't have to trade your Bitcoin on Binance, Coinbase. You can just trade your Bitcoin on Solana as a blockchain. So, our approach, obviously, our go-to-market strategy for the next 6 months is to enable Solana dApps to become Bitcoin dApps. I'll give you a prime example, right? So what if you can trade native Bitcoin with Jupiters, Titans, Radiant, Workouts? They can easily enable native Bitcoin deposit into the dApps and then trade, lend, and borrow against it. And it's something that we were trying to approach to realize that it's impossible to talk to OGs that please put it in Solana, because likely we're gonna get a lot of criticism. But if we're able to convince Solana people, they're much more friendly to Bitcoin ideas.
And sorry if I can real quick, Joe, just to add on to Justin's point in your original question about technicals to bring people in. Technical is third on that list to Ron's what he identified. Security number 1, 2, where is this yield being generated? Am I the yield, or is there some other supplement? And then on the technical side, and similar to Justin, it does take a lot of education and time to bring users into this world of having productive Bitcoin, whether that's in a wrapped asset, that's in an application, or otherwise. And also something to remember for the audience is we are 1 year, maybe 13 months, but we are really about 1 year into this entire process as we know it today about Bitcoin being productive. I sat on this stage almost 1 year to date, and was up here with Babylon, and it was when Babylon had actually just put 1,000 BTC into their staking protocol, which was a huge move that opened and unlocked everything that we're all able to talk about today when it comes to Bitcoin being productive. And from there, each of us have worked tirelessly of educating users, including ourselves, on what it means to bring your Bitcoin on chain, what it means to have your Bitcoin in an application, what it means to generate yield. That is a whole new sales cycle and education cycle that we're all adapting to in real time. Back then, again, it was at 1,000 BTC. Today, we're plus or minus 60, 70,000 Bitcoin in terms of productivity. I mean, that's a very big leap in 12 months. But a lot of it has been to Gabe's point around security, because the security has improved. It's been more transparent on how that works. The yields have improved, not just from a percentage standpoint, but from an education standpoint, where they're coming from, what they are as well, which has helped users slowly begin to onboard. And that hasn't even opened up the whole world, as we were talking pre this panel, around decentralized, or excuse me, digital asset treasuries, and how the public markets will take to this entire ecosystem as well. So this is all retail that's coming in today in some institution.
I see. So do you have anything in particular in mind that what is the best way to educate the users and such?
Go slow. For me, I mean, for SBTC, just for context, we did a capped program. We wanted to test things as it evolved to make sure that the system could handle the amount of stress that we'd be putting on it for the first time. So we did 3 raises, each in different size. The first one, 1,000 Bitcoin, last December, took us 3 days. 3 days to get 1,000 BTC, $100 million at that time, into the network. The second raise in February, a few months later, was 2,000. Took 24 hours. And the last raise that we did, because it's 5,000 cap, we did 2 more 1,000. That took 2.5 hours to raise 2,000 Bitcoin, $200+ million at the time. In between each of those, all of us were doing work, we were improving, we were educating users. And the education was, again, how this works from a security, how the applications, opening more applications.
Well, it seems like you are saying that you are speeding, your project is very speeding up recently, but you said that we should take time for education, right?
So in terms of education, yes. The amount of change in education that went from our first raise to our last raise in the cap was very different. In the beginning, it was exactly what Justin said. Hey, everybody come deposit your Bitcoin. And then we all realized, wait a second, this is an asset you don't want to lose. This is an asset nobody wants to risk in any case or point. But also, we work in an industry that is still changing. Custodians, exchanges, wallets, bridges, all of these are starting to continue to integrate Bitcoin. So a lot of our education is, yes, a sales cycle. What is Bitcoin yesterday? A sleepy asset. What is it today? It's something you can do something with. It's productive. Okay, well, what does that mean? Oh, well, there's these applications. Well, the risk profile is a little less than yield farming in 2021, but it's your Bitcoin. And now, instead of just a wallet, you have major custodians, BitGo, HexTrust, et cetera, Fireblocks that you can use. A lot of that happened very quickly to support all of us.
I see. Oh yeah, probably we are almost running out of time, so maybe we should wrap up. I was expecting to ask as a last question, what is the future prospect of the entire ecosystem and the future ways to go to the user? How we should explain, educate the users for your projects or entire L2 ecosystem? And I think Kyle already has explained. That in some sense, so maybe Gabe, do you want to start?
I think in terms of educating on the entire ecosystem, I think just simply put, right, like we just need to break down like the actual use cases for on-chain BTC in a very simple way. So in my eyes, it's really just Bitcoin-backed lending. Bitcoiners don't want to sell their Bitcoin, right? Even like a very small level holder, because that's one of the first things they're taught. So just don't reinvent the wheel. Right? Like just provide them that same type of activity in a very safe, transparent way, and teaching them why that is useful. You know, you borrow cash. There's a lot of credit card services now that you could spend that stable coins with. You know, I had a friend that took a loan out to buy a house. Right? He doesn't want to sell his Bitcoin, but like, you know, maybe for smaller scale, we need to build products that can do that in a very easy way. So the education is not really reinventing the wheel. It's putting a clean product that's very easy to use in front of the users.
Okay, so you mean, in some sense, you mean that the building and educating is the same thing or a similar thing in that the building a clean system and software and exposing that the user will eventually be the best way for education. Is it?
Yeah. I mean, especially for the EVM L2s, you know, we benefit a lot from like the account abstraction, like advancements we've made right in general. So like a lot of our wallets are using that. You know, I think the idea of like your grandma or whatever can use the wallet is something that's like pretty legit. But yeah, I think we shouldn't, as the L2 I don't want to speak for other projects, but as the ecosystem, I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel entirely. Bitcoin DeFi is pretty simple, but it's amazing how we haven't really hammered it down yet. But I think we will soon with like, you know, multiple players. And we mentioned this before, there's more than one winner, right? I mean, BTC is the largest asset.
I see. So Ron, do you have any things to say?
I agree with Gabe, but also at the same time, I think it goes into the execution of the education. First of all, you need to know your customer, KYC, right? You know them, and then you'll be able to define how you could actually educate them. Because retail users as well as institution, you need both as both users. The way to educate them is very different. And at the same time, because there are so many protocols out there are so many technical things about BTC as well as the protocols, I think it's important to make sure that the information are well organized in all potential platform. Like for example, for Rootstock, we also have our education sort of like program in Binance. And these are for like users who use Binance. Yeah. So that is more on the education part. But I think for the future of Bitcoin, as you can see, like over the years, more and more companies are coming up. But eventually, I think there will be a consolidation and specialization. So if projects are not able to specialize, they are not sure where they belong, I think that is when they face trouble. And at least I think for Rootstock, we are focused on Bitcoin security with EVM flexibility. So that is where we will try to shine the most. Yeah,
Yeah, totally makes sense. Justin, do you?
Yeah, I mean, the future of Bitcoin economy should be chain agnostic, right? Like we have stacks, you know, EVM driven and Solana focuses as well. You know, it's by providing more options, not just one player takes all. And you know, our approach has always been consistent in a way that, you know, instead of telling people to deposit Bitcoin from the ledger to Solana, we're educating people on Solana, telling them to buy Bitcoin on Solana instead of buying Bitcoin on Coinbase or Kraken or any other exchanges. So, you know, we are working hard toward this, and hopefully there will be a better outcome for the Bitcoin economy in the futures.
I see. Thank you. Yeah, maybe we should finish it now. So, do you have anything to say at last? I mean, does someone want to make a last remark?
I'll just say this is one of the most exciting opportunities I think any of us have had the chance to be a part of, from a financial perspective to a technical perspective. To Gabe's point, you know, this is one of the largest assets and the largest asset when it comes to our industry. You've got over $2 trillion of capital right now. About 0.5% of that is actually active and on-chain. If we add staking and tokenized assets, you got over 1.5%. The amount of opportunity is so huge right now. If you're looking to build in this ecosystem or this side of the industry, we welcome you. If you are looking to begin to look at Bitcoin as a productive asset, you've got 4 great protocols to discuss and look at how it works best for you. But most importantly, I'd say get ready for a very exciting future ahead for Bitcoin as an asset that's productive in your life in a way that we haven't had once before.
Thank you very much. I think that's a great way to put it. So, yeah, I think we should finish it. どうもありがとうございました。Thank you.
Thank you very much to our speakers. Now, I'd like to ask everybody to come to the center of the stage and get a group photo with our official photographer. So if you could just get a little close to each other and smile for the camera, please. Thank you. Thank you very much to our panelists and moderator.